Route 66. It runs through the LA area, it runs through Southern California. There are many fine attractions out there, but for me, Route 66 has always been about the open road. The Mother Road. Farther east, it's the main street of America, but here it goes for miles and miles through the desert wastes. Then suddenly you come around one more bend and see something like this. Something epic, something iconic. We're back in one of the most legendary photogenic spots on Route 66. Welcome to Amboy, California. This place, which today is mostly famous for that big, beautiful neon sign over here at Roy's Motel and Cafe, the biggest game in town, the only game in town, has actually been drawing people out here since the 1850s. There were mining camps in the nearby hills. In fact, they still mine chromium and all kinds of arsenic and weird stuff out here. Eventually, there was an Atlantic and Pacific Railroad station placed here. The railroad tracks are still busy. Trains come through here. I mean, every couple minutes, really, it feels like. Back then, trains couldn't go the distances they can go now, so you needed a place to refuel or at least top off the water and the old steam engines, and so Amboy was officially born. But it really didn't get its notoriety, of course, until the roads came in. We all know what road I'm talking about. I'm talking about Route 66. Since the Mother Road was established in the 1920s, Amboy had its boomtown period. And by boomtown, what I mean is that in 1940, the population had swelled to a staggering 65 people out here. And I know that doesn't sound like much, but nowadays, when the population is about 0, sure seems like a lot. 65 people out here? Well, that was enough residents and workers and railroad workers and visitors to justify opening up a church, a post office, the building of which still stands, although I think the post office itself might be closed now, and even a school. Yes, that's right, back there is the old abandoned Amboy School. It seems insane walking around this virtual ghost town today that there were so many people living here that you needed a school and a church and a post office. But back then, cars couldn't go the distances they can go now. There was no interstate. This was the main thoroughfare from Chicago to Los Angeles. This was the interstate of its day. And with those old cars in the 1920s, 30s, and 40s, you needed to stop a lot more often. You needed to top off the radiator. You needed to top off with gas. Those are gas-guzzling beasts, after all. It was a whole new booming industry of garages and tire places and little motels. This is when the motel was invented. And so the brightest part of Amboy's history began in 1938 when Roy Crowell opened up Roy's to serve travelers on Route 66. First with Roy's Garage, which then became Roy's Garage and Cafe, and eventually Roy's Motel and Cafe. And then in 1970, of course, I-40, the interstate highway, came into being about 30 miles away. Amboy was cut off. Business here came to a complete standstill. The Crowells, they were out of business. And so Amboy became a ghost town, and it stayed that way all the way up until this century, when one visionary guy tracked down the daughter-in-law of the original Roy of Roy's Cafe and purchased the whole place on the condition that they would try to restore it to what it once was. And that man, the man that purchased this town, was known as the Chicken Man. Albert Okura, founder of Juan Pollo Chicken, a chain here in Southern California, loved America, loved history, loved local history, and loved Route 66. This was his passion, restoring a piece of Mother Road history to its former glory. They've been working on it for years. Got the cafe and the gas station reopened. They turned the old hotel lobby, or motel lobby, excuse me, into a sort of little living history display. I mean, just look at this right here. It looks like you could just walk up to that counter and check in right now. This thing is a mid-century modern masterpiece, and I'm just talking about the lobby. I'm not even talking about the sign yet. They shined up the lobby like a new penny. It looks glorious. It looks beautiful. And then work began on the old tourist cabins, the original overnight accommodations for Roy's back in the day when it started as a garage and a cafe, and then they opened these. This is actually how most motels were. It started like this. They'd have your little cabin right here. Some had garages, some were open like this. And it was essentially like a little home away from home. Boy, it's echoey in here. You had a little bedroom, you had a little living room area, and you had your own bathroom. Look at that. They had water in here with a shower. That must have been Quite a relief after driving through the Mojave Desert in the old days with the windows down and the dirt coming through on dirt roads. Imagine how good it felt to take a shower in here. Anyway, Albert Okura shored these places up. He cleaned them up, whitewashed them, preserved them from further decay. And then one of the last steps, one of the greatest steps, is they relit the Roy's Motel and Cafe sign. One of the most famous, googie, mid-century modern signs in America. That was back in November of 2019. People came from all over the country, all over the world to witness that event. It was Albert Okura's proudest moment out here. Then, of course, came the pandemic. And as far as tourists coming through here were concerned, it was like they built another interstate all over again. The traffic completely dried up. Progress was halted. And then sadly, just a little while ago, we lost the Chicken Man. We lost Albert Okura, the visionary purchaser of this town and preserver. Now, from what I understand, Albert's son, Kyle Okura, has filled in the gap. He's taken up his father's mantle. He is now running Juan Pollo, and he's in charge of this, in charge of Amboy, a town out in literally the middle of nowhere. There's a cafe and a gas station, but there's no running water to my knowledge. They don't have flushing toilets out here. The accommodations aren't finished. It's still going to take a lot of manpower, a lot of time, a lot of money, and a lot of creativity. I met Albert Okura a number of times. Really great guy, nice guy. I said, Mr. Okura. He goes, please, Albert, or the Chicken Man. Awesome guy. I've never met Kyle Okura. And I could totally see where, you know, oh, my dad had this wacky vision. I didn't know what he was doing. Let's just sell the town. Let's just move on from this. But look what we have here before us. Progress is still happening out here at Amboy. I don't know if this is sewage. I don't know if this is part of getting water out here. But not only do I see construction over here in front of the old tourist cottages, I can see construction clear across on the other side of the cafe. I can see diggers and heavy equipment over there. It looks like Amboy is going to survive beyond Albert Okura. His dream is coming true. I've never met Kyle, but I have to say, I think his dad must be up there, smiling down and very proud. What a great father and son story. And speaking of father and son stories, we are actually beginning our own father and son story because I've got my own son, London, over here. London has just turned 17. He's just got past his junior year of high school. It's his last summer as a kid. And what did you want to do? Probably stay home and play video games. But what did I want to do? I wanted to hit the mother road with my son. So this is the beginning of a journey for us. We may stick to Route 66 all the way to the end. We may deviate a little bit. We may completely deviate. We're not sure, but at least at first, for the next several days, for the next couple of weeks, we are getting our kicks on Route 66. London's been this far. He's been up to the Grand Canyon with me before, but he's never gone across New Mexico, Texas, Oklahoma, that itty bitty part of Kansas, Missouri. So I'm excited to take London out to what I used to call real America whenever I was on tour in the band. See the Midwest, see the prairie, see the desert, share some of my favorite places and some of my passions with my son. And of course, we are going to share the entire adventure with you guys. We got a late start this morning. We had to pack up. We had to do all kinds of stuff. Now, because inevitably every time I do the part of Route 66 closest to me, I've come through here a ton of times. And because London's actually been through here with me before, we kind of cruised through California pretty fast. We stopped at a couple places like you saw in the beginning there. Oh. Juan Pollo chicken. But what we're trying to do day one, especially since we got such a late start, is beeline as fast as possible toward Arizona. Partially because of all the reasons I mentioned, and partially because there's a heat wave out here right now. It's up around 117 degrees or something like that in the Mojave, so we're just trying to cruise through. But some places, like Roy's out here, are so legendary, so iconic, that not only should you stop whenever you have the slightest opportunity, but also they really need our help, especially post-pandemic. Whatever gas or Gatorade or souvenirs you can buy from any of these places, I feel honor-bound and duty-bound to stop and do it, because every little dollar helps in their recovery, helps justify keeping the place open. And not just your dollars, even if you don't have many dollars to spare, just the foot traffic, the people coming in, sharing stories, hearing stories, making friends. That's what Route 66 is all about. Any old salty traveler of Route 66 will tell you the same thing. Look at these hand-painted signs right here. These were painted by my friend Derek McDonald, Golden West Sign Arts. I think he works at Disneyland sometimes as a Disneyland sign painter, but he's painted stuff all over the West. He's the best. And we keep talking about, hey, we got to do like a Randomland thing together, you know, get a little update on the Randomland logo or something, and then we keep forgetting. I got to hook up with you, Derek. We got to do something. Back down there, you can see the Amboy crater. It's what's left of a volcanic explosion. Lots of lava over there. You can hike that. I wouldn't recommend it when it's this hot out here. People do die all the time trying to do it, from heat exhaustion, from just accidents. It's more of a wintertime activity. I've meant to do it every winter that I can remember. Then I always kind of forget that I remember when it's too hot again, but this might be the winter. Stay tuned. Oh my gosh, this place has come a long way from the last time I was here. The last time I was inside, it looked nothing like this. I mean, they have really done a great job reconnecting this place to its past. Look, they got the cowboy and Indians toys, they got the old candy cigarettes. It's really old-timey in here. This, to me, this is like the real beginning of Route 66. When you get out to these places where you can think, you can see these far vistas, you hear the train whistles as the trains come thundering through. And even though it's up over 110 degrees, and even though we were in a hurry to get to Arizona today, you can't help but stop, stay a while, slow down. It changes the way you think, which changes the way you start to perceive things. You start to notice little things, little details. And I love going from Chicago to LA down Route 66 coming west. That's the way everybody does it, primarily because of the song. You know, if you ever plan to motor west, Chicago to LA, but there's a little bit of magic going the other way, because you leave LA and Orange County, where I'm from, where it's all congested traffic, stoplights, people cursing at each other. Then you hit this long stretch of godforsaken desert, but it's almost like a palate cleanser. It almost wipes the dirt and the filth of the city away. You leave it behind here with the other dirt of the desert, and you're clean, you're cleansed, and ready for a new chapter, a new adventure, and ready for a Gatorade. Thank you, Lennon. Oh my gosh, it is really hot out here. Okay, all right, well, I'm fine, I guess, but the camera is starting to overheat, so I guess it's time to keep cruising down that mother road. There used to be a long stretch of Route 66, very abandoned, going east from Amboy. I drove that stretch when I did a kind of cross-country adventure in 2016, but in 2017, crazy torrential rains and subsequent tropical storms have washed out a lot of the bridges, and then the county out here deemed that the old wooden bridges, that's right, all the bridges out there were timber bridges, that the old timber bridges were no longer structurally sound. 69 bridges need to be replaced at an average cost of $3 million each, something like that. And they're not going to be done by the 100th anniversary in 2026. They're supposedly going to be done by 2027, a full 10 years after they close that stretch of road, which is a little bit frustrating, but it's California. What do you expect? All right, I love California, I love Amboy, but it's time to get in the car and hit the road. It's funny because when you're on America's highways and byways, the back roads, there's so much to look out for. You're always keeping your eyes open for old, interesting things. And you get on the interstate, and I just start to get sleepy. I mean, it's smooth, it's fast, but oh boy, is it dull. Sometimes you want it to be dull, you want it to be eventless, you want to get to the place you're going. But I strongly prefer the stops. I mean, look at this place, Needles, California. Maybe not the most famous tourist destination in America, and probably not all that well known even to Route 66 travelers. Well, the casual Route 66 traveler anyways. Even Needles, California has got all kinds of cool things to see and explore if you really take the time to look between all the modern stuff, you know, the chevrons and the Best Westerns. You'll see all these little historic gems. I never have enough time here. I spent the first half of my adult life traveling around the country in bands, and I have to leave Southern California and cross this way, both on Route 66 and I-40 and down on I-10, tons and tons of times. So I feel like I'm always jetting through here to get to somewhere else, usually because it's like 111 degrees like it is right now. I've got to admit, I've never really given Needles the time it deserves, you know, to really explore it in depth. I'm always here after the museum closes. All of this is especially irritating to me because I love taking it slow. I love stopping and checking out weird places. Like last winter, I just went to Yuma, Arizona for no reason, checked it all out. A lot of towns I used to just breeze through because what I could see from the interstate made me like, ugh. When you take the time to actually explore them, you find all kinds of cool things. Like, look at this in the museum. You can visit Spike. I need to come back and visit Spike. Now, multiple alignments of Route 66 came here through Needles. And of course, Needles is a big railroad town. There's the Harvey House back there, a giant old sumptuous hotel where rail travelers used to stay when riding the train was really the way you traveled cross country. But these days, neither Route 66 nor the railroad are really the lifeblood of Needles. The lifeblood of Needles was and is this, the Colorado River, right here between Arizona and California. Water in the desert. The thing that makes the desert bloom, that makes this a very productive agricultural region. And it's also very popular with a certain type of demographic from Southern California. I call them the river people who like to get out here on the river, get their boats out here. We don't have a lot of rivers and lakes in Southern California, so this is the spot. This is the place where two states meet. That's Arizona on one side, California on the other. The road goes right alongside the river. This is the spot where we really begin our Route 66 adventure this time as we turn away from the setting sun and cross over this bridge into Arizona and beyond. Now, some of you might not be familiar with this channel. You might not be familiar with the fact that I filmed a whole Route 66 series in 2017, which was at the time the longest sort of documentary series on Route 66, I think, anywhere. We spent quite a lot of time on the road, took more than 40 days to get to Chicago, turned around and drove all the way back again. When I got to California right here, I kissed the ground. Spoiler alert, there's a lot of cactus needles and stuff. You should not kiss the ground right here. Anyway, the point is, I very extensively covered Route 66 at the time. We delved into all kinds of history. There's still tons that I didn't get to. There's so much to see, so much history. I don't think anyone could do everything in one lifetime. But if you want to familiarize yourself with the past adventures, there's a whole Route 66 playlist on this channel. You can watch that entire series. You can go from LA to Chicago and back again. And then there's some bonus episodes and some then and now history. But all of that was nearly 7 years ago. We had a pandemic. A lot has changed. Probably many of my favorite things have closed. Probably some new things have arrived and been built. So on this trip, more than just looking at pieces of the past which lie in our wake, which we're certainly going to do, I really want to see what's become of Route 66 in the last few years. We're going to share some memories with London. We're going to see some new places, see some new faces, and see some old familiar places and faces, I hope. And it's funny, I'm sitting here at the portal into Arizona, away from California, you know, dreaming all my dreams of the coming adventure, and it strikes me that so many people coming to California in the Dust Bowl years, right here at this very spot, crossing the river here over a very similar bridge, we're doing the same thing backwards. This is where all the Okies would hit California and all their golden dreams were ahead of them. The streets were gonna be paved with gold and stuff. Didn't turn out that way, but that's a story for another time. All right, into Arizona we go. London's taking a nap, he's fallen asleep. He's gone to Lake Havasu a million times. He's done this stretch of road before, so he's like, I'm gonna use this opportunity for a nap. One place he has not been is our next stop, our lodgings for the night. We're gonna have to push on through into Arizona to get there. Don't worry, we're gonna skip some stuff right now, but we'll be back tomorrow. It's finally time to return to one of my favorite places. I'm hoping it won't be completely pitch black when we get there, but I can see we're racing against the sun, so who knows? All I know is this is a glorious drive, man. Pop on an audiobook, you put on some Chuck Berry, and you just cruise. Even on the interstate, the path of Route 66 is mighty. All right, sun is down, moon is out, just a little bit of light over the horizon, and we're back in Kingman, Arizona. There's the famous visitor center, the powerhouse. Had many a good time in there, but look at this. The last time we stayed overnight in Kingman, this was definitely not here. Dude, check it out. Look at that epic visitor center sign. Now, I've seen the sign since it's been installed, but I saw it in the day last time I was out here with the van. That's when we went on that cross-country trip. I just had a couple days on Route 66 to get out of California. I've never seen it fully lit up like this, and I've never seen this lit up either. At the time I was here last, that was the newest attraction on Route 66, period. It's the giant photo arch, photo op, fun pick thing of Kingman, Arizona. I don't know what to call it. I don't know that it has a name, like the Great Arch of Kingman or something like that. It's the Route 66 shield they installed here for a photo op. There's another one of these in Grants, New Mexico. There's some very similar parts, photo ops on other parts of the route rather, and Kingman decided to install this. I believe they did it during the pandemic and then lit it up, had a little ceremony. I wasn't at that lighting ceremony. What's up with me missing every lighting ceremony? Look at this. Look at it all lit up at night, changing colors. It's got the little light shining down so that when you're standing underneath it, your car is illuminated. You can get that sick, perfect pic at night. And now look at this. London is right there in the perfect, fun pic photo op. Dude, this is a serious upgrade to Kingman, to Route 66. Having something like this that you can do at night, because when the sun went down in this town before, there was pretty much nothing to see. Now, not only do you have a new kind of retro neon sign for the visitor center in the old powerhouse there, not only do you have London's fun pic extraordinaire Route 66 Shield Edition photo op thing, Great Arch of Kingman, but beyond them, down the road, I see another piece of neon I have never seen before. Dude, look at that. Kingman, heart of historic Route 66. Okay, that is rad right there. Either this is brand new, or else it wasn't lit up the last time I was here, or it was in storage, they were working on it. I've never seen this before. This is awesome. They keep improving this place. I know it's dark and I haven't been here in a while, but I've spent enough time here to know I'm already seeing new businesses that are open that weren't open before. I know they redid a whole walking area downtown. I can't wait to see tomorrow. But look at this at night. Like I was saying, there used to be nothing to do. Now you got Mr. D's is open over there, all classic, but it's surrounded by neon on both sides of the street. You got Dunton Motors display floor all lit up so you can see all the classic cars. Then of course you got the cars parked out in front of Mr. D's, which by the way has more neon on it than I remember. Usually I come here in the off season, you know, so things aren't open as late and everything closes early. So maybe there's some benefits to the fact that we actually took off to do the Mother Road in June instead of April or May like I normally would. Look at this, I can see Mr. D's is still open way after dark. They're still serving up that world famous root beer in there. Pretty good, dude. The best root beer I've ever had, hands down. I tried to take some home once and it was not the same, dude. You have to have the root beer at Mr. D's. So we're gonna do that tomorrow. Right now, as epic as Kingman is looking at night, and as much cool neon as I can see they've added, and as much as they've really worked hard to keep downtown thriving, it's time for us to find our lodgings. And this is the thing I'm the most excited for because we are staying at one of my favorite places on the route. I know you're gonna hear me say that a lot, but I legitimately have a lot of favorite places on Route 66. Well, if there was a schedule, we are far behind it now, but that doesn't matter at the moment because we're back at the El Trovatore Motel, located up on El Trovatore Hill, up above the town of Kingman. This is one of my favorite stays on Route 66. Not only was this built in the late 1930s by a guy named John F. Miller, I think. Not only does it have this epic neon sign and a huge tower over there that used to have an epic neon sign all lit up, but more on that later. But a lot of the original architecture, tile, stuff like that is still intact. And look at this, they've got themed rooms, Hollywood themed rooms. It is owned by a couple named Sam and Monica Fisher. We just checked in with Sam. He was giving us his whole spiel on Route 66 that he gives all the guests. Sam and Monica have been my friends for a couple of years, ever since I first stayed here. Some of the friendliest people you will ever meet on Route 66. And of course I had to introduce London to them, so it's great to be back. And I always loved this place because Sam was an immigrant from Israel way back in the day. And he had all kinds of jobs in LA. He used to go to Disneyland all the time. And then they had this crazy dream about owning a motel on Route 66. They bought this place with their last pennies, put their heart and soul, blood, sweat, and tears into it to try to restore them, theme out the Hollywood rooms. Look at the size of the Route 66 shield that they made out here. It is gargantuan. And then one of the things I love about this place is that it has everything someone who dreamed of becoming an American citizen would put in their Route 66 motel. First of all, lots of nods to local history, like Kingman in World War II. This is where they had all the bombers building. They had training schools and flight training schools out here. The outsides of the rooms have all these cool murals with cartoon characters, everything that's just classic Americana. Look at this, did Porky Pig just rob a bank? There's a lot of nods to Hollywood history. Look at that, they got John Wayne up there and they have a John Wayne themed room out here, stagecoaches. You've got railroad history, and you can't see them in the dark, but there's actually trains passing behind all the rooms, so you can look out of your window in the morning and see the trains going down below. And there's the huge neon tower. It used to light up and say El Trovatore, but it's been broken the last few years. We need to do something. We need to get a GoFundMe together or something. We've got to get that tower fixed. It's an iconic part of Route 66 history. But moving on, I think this place was originally built in 1937 as a garage first. Then they added the tourist court, which is the original rooms. And so as a nod to that, they've got a little garage painting there. Then Sam's Gas, of course, for Sam, the owner, and Monica's Ice Cream for his wife. There's Betty Boop right there. The back has got all kinds of rooms most people don't stay in. I think they were long-term rentals when they bought this place. So in the daytime, you can explore all these crazy murals and maps. And they used to have the world's longest Route 66 map mural here, which you can see this is a nod to that. But there have been some changes since the last time I was here. First of all, I'm really glad Sam and Monica held out. They survived the pandemic. They're still here, but there's been big changes to the main building, the main suite of rooms coming off of the office up there. Instead of all the cartoon characters, this wall has been repainted. It's still sort of a Route 66 map. You can see the road there. They've got little sections for all the states on the route, like Kansas and Missouri. See how different these are than the ones with the cartoon characters I showed you? That is because there was a big change here, I think last winter. A new TV show called Motel Rescue came out here, and I think Chip and Joanna Gaines, or at least Joanna Gaines, have something to do with it. And they came here, they approached the El Trovatore, and they filmed an episode here. I did not know this until we checked in tonight. And they actually painted over the mural, probably because of copyright stuff, right? Because there's all these cartoon characters and stuff, and how do you get the clearance for TV? Made it a little more modern, kind of sort of hipster looking. It looks like a hipster taco place or something on the outside. It's kind of cool, different vibe, you know? That's one big change. And apparently not all the rooms, but a few of the rooms were redesigned by Joanna Gaines or her team or something like that. I never saw the episode. I gotta go back and watch it now. And so not only did they remodel the office, which looked very different when we were in there, although it's returning to sort of its old form. And not only did they change the world's largest Route 66 map along the sides of the rooms, but they actually remodeled a couple of those rooms. And I think I'm going to show you my room first, because mine is one of the old school original Sam and Monica rooms, one of the themed Hollywood rooms, and then I'll show you the improvements that the TV show made. Okay, so first my room. I think tonight I'm in room number 109. Yep, this is it right here. This is one of the old school rooms, so it's still got the Hollywood theming. I am in the James Dean room, and of course when Sam gave me the key, he was like, hey, just don't drive like him. Ooh. So look at this. I got my James Dean posters on the wall. I got my Boulevard of Dreams license plate thingy. Here's the bed. There's a fridge and a microwave, which is an essential for me because, as you know, I got celiac disease. I gotta control my diet very carefully. I have some other medical issues, so it's good to be able to make my own food, choose my own food. Got some more James Dean posters on the wall here. Another little license plate. A little bit ironic if you know the story of James Dean. And then check this out. Sam and Monica did a lot of work to this place. When they bought it, it was almost sort of derelict, and they put so much effort into these rooms, upgrading the furniture, making sure Turner Classic Movies is always on when you check in, getting nice comfortable beds, redoing the floors, making sure the floors were all nice. And I know they want to get to it, and I know they eventually want to remodel the bathrooms, but for my money, I know this is going to sound crazy, I really like that you come in here and there's all this old original 1930s tile. Look at this doorway right here. Look at the old commode right there, the old windows. Now, the old bathtubs are blocked up. You can't use the old bathtubs anymore. These bathtubs are weird though. Look at this. First of all, when you come in the bathroom, why did they have a separate literal bathroom, completely separate from the room with the toilet, which is completely separate from the shower room over here? Bizarre and weird. Look at this old original tile. I love that. Look, the little hot and cold water things are on the opposite side. It's such a weird, bizarre thing, but you're looking into a little window into the past, into like old 1930s ways of doing stuff. And I mean, that's not even classic Betty Boop Coca-Cola 1950s, 57 Chevy Route 66. We're going all the way back to Model Ts and Model As and old cars, pre-World War II Route 66 in here. I mean, look at the old doors, the old school windows. You can see the trains out there in the morning, the old school tiling. There's something about these little old leftover details, like the weird corner sink and all this. I just love it. I just love this. Because here's the thing. Ooh, look, closet. You got your own little closet over here. They really try to make them homes away from home. Here's the thing. You could stay in the La Quinta. You could stay in the Holiday Inn Express. And every once in a while, I even do that. I take a break from the historic motels. I'll stay in a nice brand new motel for the fast Wi-Fi and all this stuff. But Route 66 is supposed to be a little bit of an adventure, a step back in time. And that's what this motel is, a step back in time, not just architecturally, but you've got that mom and pop customer service. Sam is one of the friendliest people you're ever gonna meet. You've literally got that classic American dream story. And that's why when they gave London and I, you know, our room choices, I chose to go for the old school James Dean room. I wanted one of the old school Hollywood rooms. London though, and he's stoked on this, right? Because 17, this is kind of the first time he's ever really got to do this. London got his own room, and we were lucky enough to snag one of the remodel rooms from the Motel Rescue or Hotel Rescue, whatever the show is called. I haven't looked at it yet. You've seen the old school original mom and pop Route 66 design. Now let's check out 105, one of the quote-unquote upgraded rooms, and then you decide for yourself what you like better. One thing's for sure, right off the bat, it's certainly a whole lot different. I do like the sort of modern light fixture, so it's a little brighter in here. Everything's a much cooler, brighter white. And look at this, they got a much more modern type of bed over here. Big old king-size bed, I believe. Sure looks like it to me. They got modern artworks on the walls with nods to Kingman's past. Look at that, you got a little El Trovatore painting and all that stuff. And then you have that sort of classic, little bit vintage boho looking old vintage suitcases down there, these kind of retro lights. So it's modern, but it's retro. It's very Target, am I right? I like it. If I had walked into an old Route 66 motel and found this, I'd be like, whoa, look how clean, look how nice, look how new, look how fresh. But I love the El Trovatore for what it always has been, so I'm a little bit conflicted here. This is really cool, though. I mean, I know London likes it a lot. Look at this. Look what they put the TV on here. It's kind of a big, going with the luggage theme, the straps all over that. You got your fridge, you got your microwave. That's been in here the whole time. Again, you have your closet, same as the other one. But look at this. Look what they did here. They opened this up, again, just like it would have been back in the day. And then instead of the old bathtub, they have this, like, breakfast nook. So that's handy. I do like that. You got a nice little area to eat. Little fake bamboo right there. A little Santa Monica Route 66 stuff. Sam actually and Monica used to live in Santa Monica. Nice clock right there. They got a bunch of those in the new lobby. Nice new style curtain. And then the bathroom is just as old school as it ever was. I love this funky tile down here. I love these weird archways. I mean, I know it's hard for you to see. It's not very tall. So I know people were shorter back in the day, or they always say that. Maybe they didn't get enough milk back then. I don't know. But it's just so cool. I just love the old school look. I love the old school commode is still in here. So I don't think they touched the bathrooms for the TV show. I think they left that for Sam and Monica. I almost said Santa Monica to do. So if you're into the sort of like modern vintage aesthetic, you can request one of these rooms when you do your booking. But I personally am still liking the James Dean room. I like the old Hollywood themes. I think the first one I ever stayed in was the Godfather themed. I love that. And I don't know, I'm just happy to be back at the El Trovatore. I'm stoked to be back on Route 66. When we were finally checking in here, we went to Walmart, we got some food and stuff like that. And when we came back, I started to stress a little bit, like, oh no, it's already basically midnight. So we lost an hour in the time change coming over here to Arizona. Hey, London. I was like, oh no, if I start to edit video or if I start to unpack the stuff and charge all the batteries and do all the things, we're not gonna wake up that early. We're gonna be up all night and then we're gonna be behind, and we're gonna be, like I said, if there was a schedule, we'd be really behind. And this is what I was talking about earlier about it takes a few days. And I like this desert scape when you leave California, when you go eastward. This palate cleanser, it doesn't work overnight. It takes a few days to slow your roll, slow the pace down, and remember that the whole thing is about the journey. It's not about hitting different destinations. It's not about schedules, at least for me. I try not to schedule stuff like that. I am very much not that personality type, but even though I'm an old Route 66 veteran now, I guess you could say, and I've done quite a lot of traveling in my life, even I have to stop and remind myself, hey, slow down, relax. If we only get an hour from here tomorrow and end up at the next old historic motel, or if we get 8 hours, it doesn't matter. We'll make up the time somewhere. The most important thing is the memories, having the fun, taking the time to appreciate the little things, the little details. Route 66 for me almost isn't even just a road, it's more of a mindset. And I'm in all these Route 66 Facebook groups and stuff like that, and there's a lot of cool people in there, but a lot of times people go, hey, you know, I've got 7 days or maybe 10 days. Is that going to be enough time? And you see a lot of the older, experienced Route 66 people will jump in and be like, absolutely not. You have to have a minimum 25 days. You got to have a minimum of this amount of time because you got to see every little stop. And for me, that's just not my favorite approach. Like right now, I'm listening to the trains pass by underneath. I don't know if you can see them, but I can see all these stars up in the sky. I mean, I wish the El Trovatore neon tower was lit back up. But if I stop and feel the warm wind, it's still about 90 degrees out here. I look up at those stars. I think my son just got to meet Sam and Monica, who to me are Route 66 legends. We got to see Amboy today. We got to roll across the desert. I'm like, oh yeah, we're already doing it. It's not about time and miles and making up for lost time. It's about the journey. It's about seeing what you end up seeing and learning to appreciate it. So I'm stoked to be back on Route 66. I'm gonna lock myself back in that Route 66 mindset. It's coming, it's little by little, I'm gonna get back into it. We did bring another camera so we can do some vlogs. We'll do some off the cuff stuff that's short. We're gonna do some regular Randomland episodes that won't be so beginning of the journey. They'll be a little bit more, you know, developed. But most importantly, and I think this is the most important thing on Route 66 or on any journey, any road trip that you're taking for a road trip's sake, we are gonna have a great time and we are already making some memories. So with that, I'm gonna leave you guys here because maybe I'm not fully in the mindset yet. I got all kinds of batteries to charge and food to eat and a shower to take and all kinds of stuff like that. So we're gonna head to bed. Thank you for sticking around. We got some new Randomland Route 66 t-shirts for pre-order on the store. And don't forget, we've also got my new book available, Tales from Randomland. If you haven't heard of it, go check that out. Thank you for sticking with me. Thank you especially for watching all the way to the very end. You know what? We've done our duty. Time to motel and sleep well. Just walking across Route 66 at night. Just walking across. Don't need a crosswalk, don't need a crossing guard, don't need a light. I love America.
56, Chicago, Santa Monica, 2,448 miles. Was built 1926 to 1937. Kingman have 4 museums. Route 66, Train Museum, Museum of Art. First house built in this town is also a museum. Museums here are $10 for a person, not that expensive. If you're over 60, it's only $6. This is Walmart, open till 11 o'clock at night. Each one of these numbers is a different restaurant. This town have only 87 restaurants, 87 bars, and 87 churches. Recently, a lot of people are moving from California for economic reasons to Arizona, Nevada, New Mexico, Monica. So now we suddenly have 91 restaurants. Usually I tell people about Mr. D, which is a diner from the 50s, which people go there because Mr. D make his own root beer, and he have that's his menu. Okay? And he's like this. That's the only one that I basically promote a little bit, just because it's a real diner from the 50s. Oprah Winfrey went there 40 years ago when she was skinny. She loved Route 66. She came with Gail. She's back again skinny, thanks to Ozempic. Then came Jean-Claude Van Damme. He drove on the top here 110 miles an hour.
In a 35 mile an hour zone.
He went to jail in this town. This was a Sunday. There's no judges working in Kingman in Sunday. He spent the night in jail, and in the morning He had to pay $1,500 for speeding because it's excessive speeding.
Yeah.
And 2 weeks he cleaned the street with a shovel and a broom called community service.
But
He was
Mama-
making a movie called Universal Soldier. On the way to Ottoman, there's a small little place called Cool Spring. They blew up the building. There was first the building caught on fire, then they blew it up for him, and then they rebuilt it a part of the movie. Okay?
And then one day Sam was checking a young man in, and he was telling him that story, and he said, you know what, that's absolutely true, because I grew up in this town, and in my senior year in high school, suddenly the door to the classroom opens, and in walks Jean-Claude Van Damme, and everybody's mouth like drops open. We're thinking like, what the heck is he doing here? So he said, I came to lecture you why you shouldn't speed.
Because he was doing his community service.
That
Oh my
was part of
gosh.
the community
So-
That's crazy.
Okay. Yeah, because he was arguing with the judge. You know what he told the judge? He said, I have this production company. Half of this town is working for my production company. The judge say, I'm sorry, I don't work for you.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
by the way, if the judge tell you something, judges are God.
Yeah.
You never say to
Yeah,
them, no.
don't talk back
There's
to
no
the
way.
judge.
Yeah, okay. You should learn that. Okay. Abba in Hebrew, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Abba in Arabic, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Abba in Chinese, Er San Su Lu. This is for you.
Sheesh.
No smoking in a room, drinking as much as you got.
Okay.
Okay?
And he's underage. Aren't you underage?
Yes.
Yeah, but you can drink Coca-Cola. Okay. In Spanish is Llave, Italian is Chiave, German is Schlüssel, Dutch is Schlüssel, Hebrew is Maftachot, Chinese is Yosh, Japanese is Kagi, French, Clay, Russian, Kluch, Polish, Klitsch, Noilis in Denmark, there is key in sign language. I can say it in 100 languages. I did all of this to get into your brain to tell you to put the key where? In a box outside.
Dropbox.
Thank you.